Hello, welcome to Edification by Identification of the Spirit. This one's going to be 105. It is June 19th, 2022 at 12:56 in the morning. Um, I've been working on this for the past 4 or 5 hours, so I figure I'll come put this lesson out there. It's called The Location of the Remnant, Secret Place, Shadow of the Most High. Excuse me. Sorry. Okay. So now up here, I had a Bible verse, but I can't see it because I turned the rest of it white by accident when I was copying it and pasting it into this app on my tablet so I can make the video. Anyway, long story short, we're going to get into it. It's Isaiah 45 and 4. Okay. Now we're going to learn something here. What we're going to learn is the title, the remnant, the secret place, shadow of the Most High. So what I've done here is we're going to read it outright, and then we're going to go back with the breakdowns in it. So it says, "For Jacob my servant's sake, and Israel mine elect, I have," I'm going to shorten that up. I have not called, I'm sorry, I have even called thee by thy name. So he's telling them that he gave them their names. Okay. And then it says, I have surnamed thee, though thou hast not known me. Okay. So now we'll get ready to break this down real quick. So he says, for Jacob now equals my servant. So when you read servant throughout the Bible, he's referring to something from Jacob. We're going to get to all of that. All right. And then Israel, because the things inside of these beings keep Israel and Jacob alive. That's why you see Israel walking around today. I'm going to show you. And then it says, and Israel equals source of mine elect, which equals Zion. Okay? You're experiencing darkness of the land. Wrath equals darkness of the land. And that's the wrath of the Lord of hosts, which is God. That's why you don't understand what I'm saying right now, but we're going to get into it. And then it says, I have even called thee by thy name. So didn't the Lord give them their names? Yes, he did. He gave them these names, Israel and Jacob. All right. And then it says, I have surnamed thee. Now, when he said, I surnamed thee, he's talking about the elect. He's talking specifically to the elect and the servant, which we're going to have to get to the details of the servant. He surnamed this one Zion. We're going to get down to the other one who was surnamed. Okay. And then it says, though thou hast not known me. Now, when he says, though thou hast not known me, not is supposed to be like KNOT. So this is the covenant not. So we have known him as the covenant and know what his word says in the covenant and the definitions that we are speaking today, right now, that I'm speaking to you, that you can understand me speaking to you. So those definitions, if we use them in the spirit, you would know God, but you know him not, because this is the earth side, is the earth definitions of God's version, which is his shadow. So you know him not. You know him of the shadow version of him, which is the spirit definition. Spirit slash definition, because that's what the spirit is. This is definition on a word, just like you got the definitions on the spirit of Christmas, Halloween. You see Christmas lights and things of that nature. You have the visual definitions. But if you say, "Oh, Saint Nick," people know you talking about Santa Claus because that's his spirit. That so on, etc. It works the same with this. So then you have. So that the reason why we know him, this version of him, is because the covenant was broken. So we know this version of him. So we're going to go down and learn some more. And then it says Isaiah 65 and 9. So we're still talking about this elect. All right. And then it says, and I will bring forth a seed out of Jacob and a seed out of Judah, an inheritor. I'm sorry, I'm trying to read it without the parentheses. I mean, without this information that I added in. So I'm trying to figure out where I broke it off and cut it out. That's why I'm taking a minute. Okay. So it says, and I will bring forth a seed out of Jacob and a seed out of Judah, an inheritor of my mountains. So who's talking here? That's God talking, because God is God's mountains. So he's saying he's going to bring out of them an inheritor of his mountains, and mine elect shall inherit it. Okay? And my servant shall dwell in it. Okay? So now I gave you some keys up here. I gave you some definitions up here, which is manna, which is bread from heaven, which is bread that Jesus said, eat my flesh, my bread. I am the bread of life. This is what he's talking about when you eat these definitions I'm giving you now. Like I just gave you the definition of not. This is it right here. Not in the spirit slash definition. Not equals, I'm sorry, in the spirit slash definition of the earth or broken covenant, because the covenant was broken. That's why not's a being, because this is how we not know him. We know him by false doctrines. We know him. That's us not knowing the real Jesus, is knowing these other false doctrines, these lies, these things that people made up about the Bible. That's us not knowing him. So that means us broken covenant knowing him. So we do know him and we know of him, but we know not of him. So that's saying the broken version of him. Okay? Sorry, this is God's spirit. This is how we supposed to know him and understand him. I'm already there. Look, I'm with my brother Jesus because he's the one who gave me the keys to get this knowledge. So this is part of the adoption process. Once you get the knowledge, you get adopted into the family. And once you're adopted into the family, then you get to know all things. You get to know what God know. God know everything. And you're supposed to know everything because you were supposed to be made in his image. So let's break this verse down. Sorry, let me get some water. And I will bring forth a seed. Seed equals Israel out of Jacob, as he just told us that up here. Because we know that Jacob His name was changed to Israel, but Jacob's still around. So he's saying his name was the one that was born from him became Israel, the spiritually born, but he was spiritually born in an earthly manner. Okay. So um and then it says out of Jacob. And we, like I said, we read the scripture that uh God changed his name to Israel. And a seed out of Judah equals Jerusalem. Judah, Jerusalem is the seed, just like Zion comes out of Israel, because Israel is teaching things in an earthly manner. Zion knows the spiritual manner of Israel, how he is supposed to truly be. Jerusalem knows the spiritual manner of how Judah is supposed to be, because Judah is doing the same thing as her sister Israel, because they were supposed to be God brothers, sons. But you have two. That's why it's always a double-edged sword, because you got the earth version, and then you got the spiritual version. But the earth version trumps the spiritual version every time, because it tells you truth about history that you can look up in earth history as well. Like the encyclopedias and things of that nature, as well as match it to the time frames of things that happen in the Bible when it comes to earth knowledge. But when it comes to spiritual knowledge, that's a whole new ball game. But they still testify against each other that these civilizations really exist, these things really transpired, and these things really happened. And if you want to know about uh, the splitting of the seas and where this civilization came from, that we're using all the definitions and things like that came from. I did an excellent video on it. It's video 104 of this series. Um, and it tells you everything, even from the splitting of the sea with Moses and Exodus, the whole nine. So I suggest you guys go ahead and give that a look. I'm not that savvy when I can go in here and add like links and things like that. I'm just trying to get the video up and this message out. So then down here it says an inheritor. Oh wait, yes, an inheritor, which equals Yahshua. Yah's son, Jesus, which is God, Yah, God, Joshua. Jesus, and the elect, servant. Slash sent, because throughout history they came in different words, different names. Were elect, sent, come. Because when you elect to do something, lot, uh, or if somebody casts lots, that means you pick to do something. You're the one who's picked to do it, so you got to go do it. So this is when you read throughout time. And when I say throughout time, I mean the beginning of time to the end of time, because this is the last book, because we was in the last time. This is it. This is it. So the secrets about the book was everything's supposed to be hidden so that we wouldn't know what time frame we lived in. Because we thinking that things didn't happen that already did happen. And you don't know that the civil Everything's hidden. It's in code. So I'm breaking the code by telling you what things equal in the spirit to God. So it says an inheritor. This inheritor of God's uh, mountain is Yah's son Jesus, which equals the elect, sent, and the servants and the slaves, or the word, if you will. They are the ones who are going to inherit this mountain, these my mountains, which is the Lord's mountains. And then he goes on to say, mine elect shall inherit it, and my servant shall dwell in it. So I just explained who everybody was up here. Judah is Jerusalem. I mean, Judah is the birthplace of Jerusalem, which is all a knowledge base. All of this is knowledge base. So that's how you become Jesus. You acquire both these knowledges. You acquire the Zion knowledge, which is the city of David, and you acquire Jerusalem's knowledge. From I'm sorry, guys. It's late and I'm tired, but I'm trying to get through it. So we're gonna go on, and then it says, Joel 2:32, and it shall come to pass that whosoever shall call on the name of the Lord shall be delivered. All right. So it shall come to pass. When it says, and it shall come to pass, means in a process of time. Some amount of time is going to pass. That whosoever shall call on the name of the Lord. What's the name of the Lord? The elect, Zion, sent. All of these people that had, and the call on them is to study them. Because that's the only way you're going to get answers is by studying, correct? So to call on them is to study on them. And then it says, for in Mount Zion, which equals the seed, the elect, sent Lot within Israel. Because when he's talking about Zion, he's specifically talking about us that came out of Israel. And then in Jerusalem equals Judah's seed, the servant slash slave, which doesn't mean what you think it means. Because, if you work today, have a family today, you are a servant and a slave to your job. If you own a home, you live in a building, you are a servant to your bills because you got to serve them bills because they serve them to you. You're a slave to your bills. You're a slave to your car payments, your house payments. You're a slave in every which you are in Egypt. If you never knew you were still in Egypt, you think because we ain't out there picking cottons, your ass ain't in Egypt. You in Egypt. But what they don't know is they in Egypt too. So now this is why I have to come out here and start teaching this way. Oh, because elect, sent, Lot. Yeah, that's me. Yeah, that was me. Virgin birth. This guy right here. This guy right here, born of a virgin. There's only one other who is my brother, and that's it. And we are one together. That's it. Other than that, I can't speak for you all. I've watched a lot of what you do, but it ain't this. This is how you learn. So, And then it says, and in Jerusalem equals seed. Judah's seed, the servant slash slave shall be shall be deliverance. So who's going to be the deliverance? Zion and Jerusalem, which when you put them together equal Jesus. And you say, how you put them together? You put them together in here. Because once you get all the definition sets, you put them together in here, and then you sort this shit out again. That's the only way. So, where am I? And then it says, as the Lord has said, and in the remnant, which is Jesus equals having both Zion and Jerusalem. And this, what I'm saying is, he has both of their knowledge sets in his head, so he can go out and do what he did because he had. That's why he has so much authority. Because once you get the Most High's definition, I was higher than that. Because guess why you call a light a light? Like this stuff shining from this light bulb, we call it. Guess why you call the ground the ground? Guess why you call the sky, water, water, or anything you could possibly think of? Guess why you call it that? Because God told you he was the creator, and that's how he fixed your matrix, your reality. But God got a different reality for those of us who have made it into Zion and into Jerusalem. Our matrix has changed. So the things that were considered, let's just read, because you'll get understanding as we keep going. Okay, so we got this. I'm trying to find the beginning of it. And it says, for in Mount Zion equals the seed, the elect, sent, lot within Israel. And in Jerusalem equals Judah's seed, the servant slash slave, more names, so on, etc., just like the other one, shall be deliverance, as the Lord has said. Deliverance, as the Lord has said, because and in the remnant, because the remnant is God's promise. And we're going to learn something else down here. And then, whom the Lord shall call. So we now know that the Lord called these people to be the elect, the sent, the lot. Like, Dave, I'm doing a video. So now we know that these people were told something, and then they were told to do something, just as the Lord gave everybody else commandments. So that's how they became sent. And I think we only got like three more verses, and then we're done. So we have Romans 11. It says, even so, at this present time, also there is a remnant. This is the definitions of a remnant. According to the election of grace. Okay. So even at this present time, this is the election, because you got to remember the apostles had the knowledge that Jesus had too. They was his brothers. They had the same knowledge. And they was teaching the same things that he gave them power to teach, that he gave me power to teach. So I'm one of them as well. So um, we're gonna break this down real quick. We got it says, even then, so then at this present time also there is a remnant which equals Jesus, because they have in both knowledges of Zion, um, which equals the elect of Israel, and Jerusalem, the servant seed of Judah, according to the election of grace. That's why they say Jesus is graceful. This is the grace right here, because I'm born so that I could come out here and tell y'all that you still need to learn this when I'm teaching you. You could learn the earth stuff. There's nothing wrong with it, because you need to know your enemy. That's why you come out of Israel first, because you have to see the earth side of things, and then you understand the heavenly side, make you understand why the earth side things happen. Okay. um and then it says, according to the election of grace. So the election process that will equal Jesus, the Lord, grace. Okay. So, and it says, he that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High, that's the remnant, equals Jesus having both Zion, equaling the elect of Israel, and Jerusalem, the seed of Judah, the servant seed of Judah, shall abide under the shadow. Now, the shadow is Israel. Israel is the shadow. Okay? And you should abide under the shadow of the Most High. So, um, the Lord is telling us that we, even though still that we have this special, he made us lower than the angels, like he made Jesus lower than the angels, a little lower than the angels, not by much, just a little, in this manner, because now we have all of this knowledge that's way more than what these preachers are out here teaching you, because they're teaching you in female form when you need to be taught in male form. So, and the shadow equals the veil slash curtain slash wall slash garrison slash flesh, equals Zion in Israel and Judah in Jerusalem and Judah, etc. All these other things that you learned up here. When you come back and read my tablet, or you read my sacrifice, if you want to call it, uh, you come back and check this out. All right. Um. Wait, where were we? Okay, we learned about the grace. No, we just learned about Psalms 91 and 9 and 1. So now we're going to go on to the next one. It says, um, this little side note, it says, why it says he, not she or them. Because there's no male or female in heaven. You have Jerusalem, heaven, knowledge, and Israel, earth, knowledge. I mean, Zion is earth's version of the knowledge, turned holy. So that's why, and when you have both of these, you don't get married. There's no need for you to sit here and go to church. Once you get these words and you got this book, that's it. That's it. You're in good hands. And then down here, Hebrews. Oh, that's why I had that verse in here. I think I took it out. It says, because that was what I was using to prove this. It says, for the law having a shadow, which is a veil, curtain, wall, garrison, flesh, so on, etc., equal in Zion, which this veil, curtain, flesh, all of that equals Zion because that's where I'm hidden at. And in Jerusalem is also where I'm hidden at because I have both knowledges now. Of good things to come, and not equals the spirit / definition of earth. The earth definitions that we use to speak with every day is with this version of God that we know. So that's why he's not, which is an actual entity, which is when you see when he says many will come in my name, but they'll be false Jesuses or false Christ and this, that, and the third. That's what he means, because they're not versions of him. So they're versions of him, but they're the broken covenant version of him. So when they read this book, they broke all the covenants when they came up with that prosperity teachings and things of that nature, and people actually killing animals for sacrifices and things of that nature. They were destroyed in forever darkness for that, because they were using a broken version of him, because they didn't take time to get to know him before they came out to say something. So, and then it says, and not the very image of the things. The very image of the things are God's spirits, his definitions on the words. So if I say to you, yo, it's fire on the lane out there, they spitting that hot shit, and the Queen of England just heard me say that, and she was like, what does thou sayest? I would just simply tell her that the people are playing great music in the streets. That's it. But the spirits that I used was the spirit of the hood here where I live versus her spirit of just regular earth definitions that she was using when she was trying to understand what I was saying to her. That's what's going on in this book. So since this is the last one, it says, for the law. Now, what is the law? The law is Deuteronomy. In Deuteronomy 29, I can't remember what verse, but I accidentally took it out of this lesson. It tells you that the law is this book. The book of the laws is Deuteronomy. So when you broke those laws, this is the world that we ended up with. That's the point I wanted to make about this law having having a shadow of good things to come, which is God's spirits on these words, because they mean different things. All of these were every word in this book means something different, just like I showed you not mean something different. That's what he mean by every word that cometh out of the mouth of the Lord you shall live by. Every, even a, of, the, all of them. And we'll get to those down the line, but right now we're here. And then it says, can never with those sacrifices, doctrines, uh, doctrines or physical sacrifices of the flesh. Um, and it's the doctrine because you use flesh definitions instead of spiritual definitions, uh, which they offer year by year, continually make the comers thereunto perfect. So you can't be perfect if you use an earth definitions. It's impossible. So I hope you take the time, go back through, try to pause the video so that you can grab some of these definitions out of here. But I thank you for bearing with me on this late night. Have a blessed day. I hope you learned something. Thank you.